this on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now that you've been through the first phase of the protocol,
Okay.
we are now preparing you to transition into the second phase, where it's no sugar, no starch, very low carbohydrate intake. Okay, so let's explain where you're at today and what's really important for you hormonally transitioning into the second phase. So leptin is the hormone that HCG is stimulating, and leptin is the hormone that is releasing the fuel from your fat, right? So you're probably expending, so this is your need for fuel, right? So fuel demand on the y-axis here. And this is how much leptin your body needs to be elevated, how much leptin you need to get the fuel from your fat, right? To meet those demands. So if you have this much demand, there's an amount of leptin your body needs to release so that your fat can meet that demand, right? So this actually has what we call a bell curve or upside down U curve. Right now, HCG is a very important stimulant of that leptin and is stimulating a substantial amount of leptin to provide this fuel. And the amount of food you need is the rest, which is such a small amount. I mean, you had 1 protein yesterday, right?
Right.
That's how little food you need, and that's how powerful HCG has been in your body right now. Okay? So once the HCG goes away, so you're going to stop taking the HCG, and all of a sudden the amount of leptin that your body is releasing is going to be less, correct?
Correct.
So what then is going to happen to your need for food to get to this place?
It's going to increase.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The amount of food you need is relative to your fat cells, how many fat cells you still have existing, and how sensitive they are to release, to be stimulated to release leptin, which for the next 3 weeks, your fat cells are going to be pretty hyperactive. They're very sensitive and touchy, and so I can't quantify this. The biggest joke I've ever heard, I mean, I hear this all the time. When you came in, you said, aren't I supposed to eat 1,500 calories? Do you see how outdated that is? I mean, when you think about it, how are we supposed to know that 1,500 calories in fuel and food is adequate to stimulate enough leptin? Because it's really about this.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't give a crap how much calories you're eating, as long as you are here and here, which on that hunger scale, do you remember that zone?
Yeah.
3.5 to 5.5.
Right.
Whatever it takes to maintain this zone is what your body needs. And you need to, this is the practice of why we are so intense on that hunger scale during that first phase, because this is what's going to tell you when and how much your body needs to get adequate leptin, which is ideal for your body's fuel demand. So here's how this transitions. You're going to stop injecting the HCG, let's say on Wednesday. So it's going to take at least 3 days for that HCG to diminish in the body and for that influence to diminish. So you're going to continue to follow the very low calorie protocol.
For 3 days.
Very low calorie protocol for an additional 3 days after the last injection. I call this the transition. It's still considered first phase. And for you on the internet, that's P2. Okay?
Right.
Okay. So then, on that 4th day, the 3rd day of that very low calorie protocol out, I actually added that as a buffer. Like, I'm not quite sure. You're going to notice that your hunger is incrementally increasing, on this. Or it's your hunger sooner. It's taking a little bit more food. So what you do on that 3rd day, and it could happen on the 2nd day. This is where you know your body better than I do, so you need to be conscious and aware of when your hunger comes about. And so you're going to continue to have your coffee in the morning and wait till you're hungry. And it may happen sooner. So by the 3rd day, you may notice it's taking 3 proteins and 1 fruit and both vegetable servings and 1 cracker. I don't know. I can't tell you this. You have to be extremely trusting this zone and do what your body says. Okay? By the 4th day, okay, that's the first day The 4th day marks the first day of your second phase, which lasts 3 weeks long. Do not screw this part up. This is where your body acclimates to less fat and less hormones. It needs a stable environment. It needs this zone to stay here to acclimate to how much fat you have. And that's why this hunger scale is so important. If you eat, so for example, if you eat something like sugar or starch, that's the most potent leptin stimulator of foods, okay? You are so susceptible to a swing that happens so quickly that your hunger won't be able to manage it. It'll happen so abruptly that you won't even know that you've eaten too much. It's too much, it's too powerful right now. So we need to keep foods weak.
So do not eat sugar,
starch.
What's starch? Rice.
Breads, pastas, rice, potatoes. Look up glycemic index.
Yeah.
And it's just stuff that takes longer to digest. You want to eat something that takes a long time to digest.
Okay.
So that it's a slow drip stimulus of leptin, so that you're very cautious about this zone.
Right.
If we were to strategically think about this from the hunger point of view that I have, we want you to learn how fats influence this system. Right now you have no idea. I'll shut the door. You haven't had any fats. So the hunger scale that you've learned has been under the influence of just fruit and vegetables. Right?
Can I continue that?
No, it's not healthy, and we want to make sure that we don't want to enable you eat to the real world. I mean, don't you want nuts and olive oil?
So I can eat nuts,
olive oil, avocados. Yeah, you want to be...
but I don't want to, I'm afraid that I'm going to eat too much. See, that's my fear.
Okay, are you fearing that you're going to eat too much because it tastes so good you can't stop?
Exactly.
That's the emotional fear, and this is where you have to focus so intensely on this hunger scale.
And say, hey, enough
trust
is
it.
enough. Okay.
Yes, trust this.
Okay.
And learn that it's so nice to be able to eat food that tastes good, and that the value isn't in quantity anymore.
Okay.
I mean, you have to, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like you've really gotten to that point where it's not about how much? The fact that you get the freedom to eat nuts, the freedom to have salmon, isn't that a gift?
Yeah.
And being able, and so we've got to redefine how you've perceived value.
Okay.
It's not measured in quantity, it's measured in the freedom of choice.
Okay, here's a question. Why do you say it's not healthy when I've been doing that for the last month and a half or month?
Because you're under the HCG is so powerful that if you eat something like that, it could put you on this side very quickly. So while you're on the first phase, the typical foods that are extremely healthy, they're too much with that influence of HCG. So I'm not saying that, it's just under the first phase constraints, there's so much limit to what you can eat because of that magnification of leptin. So now that HCG is gone, we want you to reintroduce those foods and learn your body and how your body responds to them, and to develop a sense of confidence that your value isn't defined by eating more. More is better. That's the old gluttonous, that's what our society is saying to you, and that's why you're fat. Can you rethink this? Can you go back to eating cheese and feta and blue cheese? And
so I can eat all that in the second phase?
Yes.
All this fatty foods?
Yep, you can
except starch and sugar?
Yeah, it's kind of like a South Beach type. Yep, nothing's for 3 weeks. It's too much. It's too hormonally, it's too powerful hormonally right now. Now, this is not, I'm not going to say you can't have that forever, because we need to find a new normal for you, a way you like to live forever. And to say that you're never going to have, a French fry again is just ridiculous. Or that you're never going to have, some oats or whatever it is. That's crazy. So we need to be real here. And before we can move forward, you need to know at least how fats influence this system. So by starting, like the first day that you're on this second phase, we want to make sure that you start slowly and with single foods. Sorry, the food turned on. So start your day with an egg. When you wake up, you're going to have your coffee. Wait till you're hungry. Breakfast is not defined by a time anymore. Breakfast is defined by when your body gets hungry after you wake up. And so I'm not going to tell you what time to eat breakfast, and neither should anybody else in this world on the planet, because they don't know your body's hormonal regulation based off of when you slept, how much activity you had. So breakfast is now redefined as when you're hungry after you wake. So start with an egg. Eat it slowly. Enjoy it. You know, I love eggs. Make it runny. Oh, just put some onions and peppers in it and really make it, you want to love it. There's no reason you can't enjoy those foods. You have to trust that enjoyment doesn't come in quantity. It comes in the fact that you get the flavor and it's amazing, right? Okay. Then you're going to wait till you're hungry again. And then maybe add some nuts. Chew a lot, because your stomach isn't used to digesting those fats and it needs some help. So you want to make sure that you're eating slowly on those first days and that you're chewing well and that you enjoy every second of it. Okay? But as soon as hunger's gone, you have to trust that you don't need any more. Put it away. When you're hungry again, you can come back and eat again. Then maybe add some olive oil on your salad. Put some salmon on it with capers and
eat healthy.
Yeah, but think in terms of, you know, there's a learning curve to learning your body with fats. So, oh my God, I thought I turned this up.
That sounds good.
Okay. So as you're trying to keep this here, you want to explore with food. Do you understand what I'm saying with this? You need this amount of leptin. It doesn't change just because your HCG went away.
But I'm not going to get fat, right?
If you
by eating, going back, I won't get fat.
If you keep this here, you will not gain fat.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Okay.
I'm teaching. I wrote a book on it.
I know.
I'm positive. You were taught. Let me just tell you where this distrust comes from. It's the diet industry and the food industry and the food Nazis. They want to make you think that food is what makes you fat. Yeah. Well, sure, but it's actually not food. It's eating without hunger. So you can eat all organic, all fresh, homegrown, farm raised. I don't care. If you eat without hunger, you're gonna get fat. It doesn't matter. You can lose weight eating crappy food as long as you're in this zone. And this is where the whole concept of calories is so outdated. And you're gonna have to trust me on this one, because the fear of God has been put into you from the diet industry.
Right.
And they make you think that they need to control your food intake, and they're going to tell you how much calories you need to eat. And has that been working for our country? No. We're getting fatter. Yeah. It's exponentially growing. Right. And they keep on saying, force feed yourself breakfast. Well, what if you're not hungry?
That's right. That's what I told my girlfriend this morning.
It's like, okay, when do we stop trusting all of this bull crap and just listen to our body and let that work for a little bit? So you need to trust me on this. Okay. Eggs, fattier meats, okay? And you need to eat slowly and focus. All of your focus needs to be on the hunger scale. It is not going to change. Okay. So it's not, I don't want you to try to control this, because if you start to try to control the outcome, that's going to backfire on you. You'll over-exercise out of fear. Okay. So you just kind of have to just trust what I'm saying, let go of your control, and find out. Because if you get that, if you do everything I'm saying, letting go of control, trusting this hunger scale, and you lose more weight or hold where you're at, how would that feel?
Yeah.
Like liberating, isn't it? Like, wow, how come we're being taught all of this and it's a lie? And it's all because someone wants to make money off of you.
Yeah, it's confusing, but I think I'm getting the drift.
Just trust me. Trust your body. Do what it says. Only eat when you're hungry, and only enough for hunger to go away. And you will find on the other side that your body's not meant to be fat.
Okay. Now I can throw an exercise to it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just don't do too much.
Now you want me to cut back on my exercise now?
Well, you're holding a lot of fluid, so.
Yeah, you can tell.
Oh yeah. You're holding 3 pounds of fluid.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of fluid, and that tells me you're either taking in a ton of salt or you're over-exercising.
I put a lot of salt in my food lately.
And you're doing a lot more exercise.
Yeah.
So I want you to think about how you want to exercise forever.
Okay.
Is what you're doing something you can do forever?
Okay.
Is it manageable? Because if it's not,
Yeah.
you might want to rethink the way you're doing it.
Is
I'm going to turn
exercise-
this off.
Yeah. Exercise,
Hope that helped.
does exercise